Hey folks, welcome out to the backyard today. We got some rain going to move in the area this afternoon, and the weatherman said so. These old man joints are saying so, and the bubbles in the coffee said so this morning. We can touch on that part later. But yes, there is the bubbles in the coffee do tell the weather. We're going to do some pork loin for you with a side. The side is going to be carrots and pears. And we have these tricolored carrots. It's about 12 ounces of them. It's one package. We took them out and washed them. And we got that here. We're going to prepare that in a 10-inch Dutch oven. We've got that little Dutch oven right here. So to this Dutch oven, we want to add this carrots. We want to add, this is about a quarter red onion, real rough chop. Okay, not small at all, real rough chop. And we have some pears. These are Bartlett pears. I don't particularly care to peel them. So we got these Bartlett pears here. We're going to put us some pretty good slices on those pears and drop them off in here. I hope everybody's doing well today. We're having a really, really good day. Now, these are carrots, so these pears, you want to be fairly thick with your slices on the pears because the carrots are going to take longer to cook than the pears. Cut the little bad end. I think Emmett just took a topple, folks. I don't know about him. He was wondering if he even wanted to come out here today. I guess I better rescue him. I might have to get him a Band-Aid later. He's been lazy here lately. He hadn't been out cooking with me. Like I said, we got two pears, and they're Bartlett pears. You can use whatever pears you like. These just happen to look the best of the pears at the store. I kind of prefer an Asian pear. I think they hold up better. But yeah, use what you got sometimes. All right, folks. So we got the pears and our carrots in here. Now to this, I'm going to give this a little toss. So we left our pears a little big. We want to kind of give that a little toss. Now to this right here, we want to put 1 stick of butter. The whole thing. Okay. To that, we want to add 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, a teaspoon of both salt and pepper, a teaspoon of ginger, and a teaspoon of nutmeg. And I didn't measure this out, but about 2 tablespoons of honey. I'm eyeballing that, and probably I might be a little more than 2. And we want to add just a touch of water, maybe about 1/4 cup, just enough to get about 1/4 inch on the bottom of this Dutch oven. Okay, because the butter is going to melt, it's going to come in there, and we're going to get everything together. Put the lid on the Dutch oven, and we're going to bake it inside the smoker like we've done for y'all in the past. Just because I've been here lazy lately, I hadn't wanted to build a fire, put all coals and everything on there, but we're going to put it in the smoker. We're going to leave it there and let that go ahead and cook. All right, folks. And we did that a little fast to kind of get you through. We're going to be bringing this pork loin out in a minute. And I do some things kind of different. It's just me. I confuse the language of a pork loin and a pork tenderloin a lot. I call a pork tenderloin a pork loin. they're two completely different cuts of meat, but I have a tendency to get them confused, or I tend to use the same word for all of it. But we're going to bring out a pork tenderloin in a minute, and we're going to do something a little special with that. All right, folks, we got this pork loin out here, and talk a little bit about a pork loin and a beef loin. Well, this has a lot of different uses. You can do the pork loin. I've cut it in long strips and braided it together. We've cooked it just like it is. We've used it in place of a roast. But I'm not a butcher, so sometimes I can get a little off in my description. But a beef loin is often where fillets come from when you go to a restaurant. So what are we going to do tonight? We're going to cut this and make us a couple of fillets. Okay? So we're going to come in here to the middle. And I'm going to go about 1.5 to 1 3/4 thick on 2 of them. Okay? And we're going to set them over here on the side. Well, I didn't trim this yet, but I'm going to put these on the side right over here and come back and we're going to trim them just a little. Now, we've got these 2 chunks of pork loin, and we're going to put these on the smoker, and we're going to cook them for future use. So we're not really going to talk to you much about those, but we are going to cook them, and we're going to save them, and we're going to use them in another dish later on. I don't know if we'll have a video on that dish, but we'll do another dish later on. Now, as I've talked to you a little bit before, talked about cleaning up. I put my grills often in my fire. I get them good and hot. I burn everything off. And I come in here and I give them a good wire brushing. And that's the way I've done it for years. You can put some oil on these if you want to. But since we're going to be using these for future use, we're not going to season them, folks. We're just going to put them on the smoker. And we're going to actually get these about 3/4 done. That way when my wife or I take these to come up later, we can still warm them up without them getting bad. It's a good way to do your leftovers. Now, if you want to zoom in here just a minute or step up to my table, on a typical pork loin, depending on how you're cooking it, in comparison with a beef loin, you probably would want to trim some of this off. But pork has a tendency to get dry. So leaving the little bit of fat on there, I personally like the fat. But some people may want to trim these. I don't want to trim them, okay? So all we're going to season those with is some lime juice. And it's not really a seasoning as much as it is to help tenderize the meat, okay? And you won't taste this lime juice. Y'all seen me use lime juice before. A lot of other people use lime juice. It's not a secret of mine or anybody. It's something I learned from others, and it works well for me, and I continue to use it. And we're going to season that with a little mesquite type seasoning. You can use a Montreal seasoning, any type of steak seasoning you would want. Now on beef, I'm a big salt and pepper guy. I just like salt and pepper on my beef typically. My pork, I like a little bit of flavor. So we have this mesquite seasoning. We want to get this on here. The pork take a pretty good bit of flavor. Okay. We got some noise in the background, folks. I sincerely apologize. Got some rain coming in, and I guess everybody's kind of wanting to get things in order for the weather. Weatherman says it may get a little rough this evening. We'll just wait and see. It's about the only job that I know that exists out there in the world that you can be consistently wrong and still have a job. I guess I probably shouldn't have said that. I might have upset a few weather guys that are watching me on YouTube. But that's just my opinion. All right, folks. Now, this is still a little cool. It hadn't been out of the ice box for, it's only been out of the ice box for maybe about 5 minutes. So, what we're going to do while we make sure we get our fire good to sear these off and get these cooked, we're just going to cover these up right here. And we're going to let them set for about 15 or 20 minutes. We want them to come to room temperature, but we want the seasoning to get imparted good inside the meat. All right, folks, we'll pop back in here in a minute. All right, folks, welcome back out here. We did, for those of you that are concerned, we did check Emmett. He's perfectly fine. He did take a topple, but I think he's so lazy he fell asleep and fell off the table. I think that's really what happened. But since we're doing this pork loin with a side, we're going to take a look at what we've got going on inside this Dutch oven. And this fire's not too hot, folks. Y'all can walk up and take a look if you want. And you can see these carrots and the pears. It got the water and the butter. It's all bubbling up. Now, people say, and that hard on your cast iron? Yes, unless you have good seasoning on your cast. It is hard on your cast iron, but we don't have anything in here that's acidic, folks. The butter is technically like an oil. So we should be fine. And this has, I've had this Dutch oven for years. It's got good seasoning on it. All right. Now, back to the pork, which is the star of this video. It's been sitting out here. It's come up to room temperature. Now, pork will get dry, and you have to be careful how you cook it. All right. So what we're going to do first is we're going to put it on this side of the smoker first. Not technically a reverse sear, really, as some people would refer to it. But we're putting it over here. We're going to give it a little bit of heat, and then we're going to finish it by searing off. So technically, maybe it is a reverse sear. I don't know. Some of these technical culinary terms, I'm not the best on. But we're going to let this go a little bit. I'm sure we'll pop in here and take a couple videos of us flipping these around. But here's some pork loin for you. Everybody, welcome back out here to the backyard. We've got this pork about done. We've got the lid of our Dutch oven right here. We're going to set them on there for right now and let them rest. I like my pork a little on the rare side. A lot of people probably going to frown about that. Not real rare, but I do like a little pink in my pork. For about the last 5 minutes, we've let these cook with the lid off, just to kind of let some of the moisture out of there. There's still going to be a lot of liquid in there, but those are about ready to come off as well. So we're going to use my high dollar whiz bang Dutch oven tool, which is called a pair of channel locks. Get that off. And y'all remember, folks, we have the rest of that pork loin off inside here. And I hope I didn't confuse everybody a while ago when I talked. I referenced beef loin and pork loin as a way of fillet cuts, and they're very similar. One just comes from a cow, one comes from a pig. So, but they are different than a tenderloin. So be sure y'all do that. I get that confused sometimes in what I say. These probably hadn't rested near as long as what I would like them to rest. But, you know, I'm a little impatient. There you go, folks. I'll see what this looks like. As it rests a little bit more, that'll get a little bit more done in this one. But that's a little rare to some people's liking. For me, it's just good after it sits there and rests for a while. And yes, sometimes I get a little impatient and I just want to eat. I know this is going to be hot, folks. Moist and tender. So let's plate this up for you. We got our carrots. I guess I better use the tongs. We got our carrots and our pears and our onion that we cooked in the butter mixture with the sugar. Got a race car driver coming down the street, folks. How about that? Let's get this chop over here, let it continue to rest. And I'm going to help out. And here's what you go, folks. How about a nice plate of food right there? Simple. This is very simple. And I've been cooking some dishes here lately that have been fairly simple. Had a couple people comment that there's different ranges of cooking skills that are out there. I don't consider myself highly skilled. I just cook a lot. So I've learned by nature of having to cook a lot. So let's taste these. These are fork tender on these carrots, folks. That butter, the little nutmeg, a little ginger. That really comes together, and the sweetness from the pear, that pear juice kind of got in with that. It's all connected. That's really good, folks. I might have to quit talking to you and eat. Try one more bite. That was the pear. And I apologize. That was the pear. So, folks, I hope you enjoyed this very simple. I know we kind of rushed through it a little bit, trying to beat the weather. Okay? And only other thing, when y'all saw me put these on there, I put the fat side down when I put them on the grill to sear them so that that fat could get rendered really good before we laid them on the side. That's why I did that. So, folks, Emmett had a little topple off the table, but I think he's done. He's ready to go back in and take a nap. We're going to go eat. Like we end every video we got. Enjoy your food.